Hello and welcome to this episode of Low Carb in the Leaves with me, Dr. Mary Barson from Real Life Medicine. This week in Low Carb in the Leaves, we have been discussing the vital importance of self-care and how it is not a luxury, but it is absolutely essential that we take time out to sharpen our saw so that we can be more effective people. We can show up to the roles in our lives much better, and so that we can stay on track with healthy lifestyle changes like picking good food and avoiding comfort eating and stress eating more unhelpful food. A really, really useful tool to just decompress that we all have access to all of the time is our breathing. This is not new. Certainly, yogic practitioners have known about this for centuries, that our breath is our natural tranquilizer. And it's really, really interesting how this works. In fact, people have observed that slow, controlled, mindful breathing really reduces stress and cortisol, but only recently have they kind of discovered why. There's some Stanford University research that was done in 2017 looking at this cluster of cells we have in our brain stem, the part of our brain that controls heart rate, blood pressure, breathing rate, temperature, all these things that are vital for life that we don't have to think about. Incredibly important organ, your brainstem. Well, within your brainstem is a cluster of nerve cells called the breathing pacemaker. And we have known about it for decades, but didn't really know too much about what it did until these researchers then took some mice and they knocked out the pacemaking centre in the mice. And then they put these mice in really stressful situations, and rather than walking around sniffing things anxiously like mice normally do when they're in a stress situation, they sniff. That's the type of fast breathing. These mice were just totally chilled out and just continued lying around grooming themselves despite the fact that they were in a stressful situation. And I'm certainly not suggesting that we should knock out our breathing pacemaker. That's not it at all. But it showed definitively for the first time that, at least in mice and probably in humans too, that this pacemaker, this breathing pacemaker, has a real role on stress and our levels of arousal. So it seems the conclusion from these researchers was that this cluster of cells in our brainstem, this breathing pacemaker, is kind of spying on our breathing. And if our breathing is fast and shallow because we're stressed, we're more likely, then they'll send signals to the other parts of our brain which will make us more stressed. But if our breathing is slow and calm, then it sends signals to our brain that we're actually safe and this is okay. So that's a sort of a lovely, I think, scientific explanation of what people have known for a long time, that nice, calm, breathing exercises help calm you down. And they're a really, really simple thing. As I said, we all have access to our breath all of the time. Even if you're not a seasoned meditator or the idea of mindfulness makes you nervous, the idea of taking an entire half an hour away from your duties to go for a nice walk, if all that sounds a bit too much, you can breathe. And I thought I'd go through one of my favourite breathing exercises. If I'm feeling a little bit stressed, like at work, feeling a bit overwhelmed, if homeschooling is really starting to feel a little bit too difficult, I'll go outside. I usually sit on a rock or the grass, but you can do it inside, you can do it anywhere. And I do 4 by 4 by 4 by 4 breathing, or breathing by 4. And it's so simple. All you do is you just breathe in for 4. You hold your breath for 4. You breathe out for 4. And hold your breath for 4. And you do that 4 times. My daughter learnt this at school. I might have actually even stolen it from her. I can't remember. But in prep, they get taught mindfulness in school, which I just love. It's so sensible. And she calls it square breathing. So it's breathing around the square, where she breathes in for 4, and that's like she imagines going up the square, and then she holds for 4, going across the square, breathes out for 4, going down the square, holds for 4, going across the square. And that's it. So I invite you all now just to do a little bit of 4x4 breathing with me. I'm going to do it now. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And keep going. Enjoy your breath, everybody. Enjoy the wonderful relaxing effects that it has on your brain. Start utilising your breathing pacemaker for good. Have a great day, everyone. Take great care of yourselves. See ya. That's all weird.